Cover 3 Tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Cannell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe. Smash that like and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where we got some talk about Dynasty. We got some talk about conference realignment. We will get to all that and, of course, some of our reactions from SEC Media Days. When we last left the tailgate, packed up our camper and started, heading back. It was just hours away from the release of EA Sports College Football 25. So I ask you all, you three here on the Cover 3 podcast, and I ask the tailgate as well, who are we playing? What do we think? What's the reaction? Is Travis Hunter too good? Do the cover athletes get an extra boost on their attributes because Travis Hunter can turn a 104-yard pick six? All right. I don't know what difficulty you decide to play on, but there's a lot going on across the college football fandom, especially as it pertains to the new video game. Bud is in the video game. He's in the credits. He also has his blue chip ratio is in the video game. So, Bud, have you played and also gotten a program to your own blue chip ratio?
I have not started the Dynasty stuff yet. I'm waiting on a few things, and then I think we may run a Cover 3 Dynasty for those who want in. So maybe we'll take applications for those slots. We'll have to figure out what system. I'm sorry if I made you guys miss on a recruit, but it should be realistic, right? Like, you shouldn't be able to take Eastern Michigan to the national title in 4 years. That should take like 40 years, right? Like, or 30 or however long. I think you can get 30 years out of Dynasty. Like, maybe in year 22, you can win a natty with an Eastern Michigan. So I actually do like that they juiced it up and made it much harder to suddenly level up in recruiting unless you just get a billionaire out of nowhere to bankroll you, which, hey, that'd be pretty cool. But no, I have been playing like quite a bit, just trying to figure out like what the best combos are. That Bama playbook is straight cheese. I would say, like, if I'm playing online, I see with Bama and Milrow, I'm a little like, okay, that's
Wait, hold on. It's straight cheese, like it's 2E, like it's like a cheat code?
Yeah. Like if you get 3 interior linemen who are like 90+ rating and
Yes.
also like some of the freebie stuff they get there, that's running the ball is hard, but I feel like I like that it's hard if you don't hit the right hole or if you don't run with the right intent. Like, if you're running a zone play, you're not just sprinting into the back of your lineman. So like when you mash R2 or right trigger is going to matter.
I've been, I say this lovingly, I think it doesn't feel that different to play it. And like, for context here, I've only played with App State. Pip Chatterson as the Mountaineers 6-0. Cade Klubnik threw 2 pick sixes. I missed 3 extra points and defeated the Clemson Tigers in Death Valley. Kicking is hard. I mostly play offense. I'll sim a lot of defense, but then jump into play just so the games go faster. But it feels like when I last was playing the game, which for me was like COVID, right? Like 2020, I was playing the old game a lot, running the ball, which I do probably more than most of the cool kids do. It is difficult, but I like that. I like having to let the blockers go out and set it. But did you do the new passing or did you switch it to classic passing?
I did the new passing. I'm trying to learn it. It's interesting.
I don't have time to learn it. Forget that. Classic passing. Yeah. I picked it up, and in ways that made me happy and sad, like all the happy feelings and the sad feelings, I just fell right back into old habits. Like when I got the Dynasty going, I'm only recruiting like 7 players and maxing out all of my hours on those 7 players. Because you know what's going to happen to the bottom of the recruiting class? They're getting their asses cut in 2 years.
Yep.
So, I mean, it doesn't even matter. So I am only focusing on the gyms, scout everybody first. You get the gyms, go hard on the gyms, get 7 or 8 guys that's going to max up all my hours. And, I kind of feel like I haven't done anything new with my time with the game in, again, ways that make me both happy and sad.
Danny, how about you?
See, this is the glorious part about having no habits to have to reform. Now I do have a lot of FOMO because I'm seeing it all out there, and I'm actually looking at Best Buy right now to see what I can get an Xbox or a play. Amazon Prime Day, there's a refurbished Xbox on here I can get. So now I'm gonna have to get it. I will say this: some of the videos, and I saw some people that were saying people were walking by, thought they were watching a real game. Mm-hmm. It's pretty insane. I want to dive into it on the playbooks too, to see how realistic the passing schemes are. What is it like playing quarterback? I got the FOMO, and I usually cave, so I'm probably gonna head out, pick up a system, and start playing.
I'll have it at Big Ten.
Ooh, perfect. You can give me a little tips.
Yeah,
help me out.
Apparently, there's these I don't want to tell on anybody, but apparently, it is like a high school field trip down in Dallas right now. Apparently, all these writers are getting together in their hotel rooms in packs of 4 and 5. I don't know if they have Mountain Dew and Cheetos.
Popping a couple in.
But but the vibe is definitely.
I did last night, man.
Mountain Dew, Cheetos, and
bro. Maggie's got the bid. When do I have time to play this thing? I'm like, all right, let's go. Caffeine, nicotine, whatever we need. Some kind of eating to let me stay up till 3 a.m. and actually finally get some time to grind this thing.
All right, so
blank slate, PlayStation or Xbox? I see a couple people in the chat said PS5.
I'm a PlayStation guy. Xbox is for nerds.
I grew up a PlayStation guy, but I've got some rumors out there. I heard a rumor I may be switching to Xbox. Stay tuned.
I bought the Xbox because it was the cheapest option, and I don't care about 4K. I'm not planning on playing a billion games. I went with the Xbox with the least amount of memory because I'm just playing one game on this thing. So that was my choice. That's what I'm playing on right now.
I golfed yesterday. I haven't played the game.
Yeah, how funny is that? But Mr. Bud Elliott, who is on the Cover 3 podcast, being I play real games. I'm not a nerd. I don't play video games. He is actually on the forefront of the video game movement right now.
Our course just punched, and we have reciprocal at Orange County National, but which I actually really enjoy playing because I lose less balls over there. But it's a 35-minute drive from my house, and I just don't it's sort of the thing do I hire the babysitter to come over so I can play video games? Do you hire a babysitter to come over so you can go play golf if the wife's sick? I'm not doing that this week.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
All right. So, Bud, have you run the RPOs?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have the timing down for that yet. I haven't taken the time to look. That's what I'm saying.
Downfield RPOs, I'm not very good at. I will say that in some of these 4 wide trips formations, you don't need a lot of awareness as a receiver to have some speed. So I'll just put the 4 speed guys in, and you get a really light box and a clear picture to run against. So I run a lot of the inside zone, bubble RPO stuff. And then if you come up on me, I'm probably just going to try to throw it deep over your head. Intermediate passing, we're not there yet because I just throw a lot of picks. So it's a lot of screen game and run game. I feel like I do read the blocks well.
Yeah, I feel good about again, and I have only played with App State. Sean Clark, builds that thing up to run the football. So though Joey Aguilar did just have 350 yards and 3 touchdowns at Marshall, so we continue to knock on the door of the top 25. Well, Pip Chatterson will have him ranked before you know it, I'm sure.
Pip Chatterson, I love it.
Yeah, Danny, I would say for the playbook perspective, those are the things that seem new to me. The rest of the playbook seems pretty familiar, right? Literally it's the same slot drive, the slot fade, those sorts of things like that. So, yeah.
Who are you controlling
for
defense?
I told you mostly I will sim defense until it's 3rd and long, in a key play. And then I jump in and I'm almost always interior defensive lineman, bull rush, walk the center back into the quarterback to try to get him off his mark.
I try to do like the cover one and then sub in like the most athletic, least aware linebacker, and then user control him to mirror the back.
Wait, the most athletic but least aware?
Like the guy that you put in, but like if you let the computer control him, he would just be a complete dummy, right? So like I'm sort of subbing my awareness in for him, and we're just chasing the back.
Bud's Neuralinking into the middle linebacker. Yeah, like defense has always been tough for me though, because you give up a 60-yard touchdown. You're like, this isn't fun. I'm playing a video game to have fun.
See, I always like playing the defense in the game.
Really?
Like I always, when you were able to be a coordinator at the start of your dynasty, I always chose defensive coordinator.
And you would be like a safety out on the field?
No, I'm a defensive tackle.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, I like interior defensive line to try to like disrupt everything in the pocket.
Are you good with the moves yet? Because like I'm hitting the right trigger, and like I feel like my swim and my rip and stuff, it's not ripping.
Oh, I'm playing it like it was an arcade game back at Grand Slam. Like I'm just mash.
Okay,
yeah. I would. That's
So
the thing.
like, just like keep hitting it back and forth.
The timing is I need to get it down. Like I feel like if I wait till I'm engaged on it, like I don't know. You got to hit it right.
Yeah, like when I play FIFA still, like when it comes to any of the special moves on the sticks, I have a ceiling because I've never been good with the sticks. I've always been a button guy. That's what I grew up on. And then they introduced these sticks when you had to use them. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I've got like 20 years of experience hitting buttons, and now these sticks, I don't know what to do.
All right, for the live chat, not as a substitute for regular show, would you watch us stream the game?
Well,
on the YouTube channel?
Are you saying like right here? When do you guys start filming a Cover 3 show of you guys actually playing the game? I think the first step of that, a reminder, the Cover 3 podcast, we will all be together at Big Ten Media Days next week in Indianapolis. We are going to be on CBS Sports Network on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and of course, providing a ton of content, of which I think will include some behind the scenes footage of us gaming against each other, right? That's probably a good one.
Yeah. I'm planning to.
Yes, a yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no.
Overwhelming,
boring.
yes, no, boring.
No.
Yes, if y'all swear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll swear on here.
Are we starting our own Twitch?
I'll swear.
Well, see, I told Tom this morning, I was like, man, I don't want to get on Twitch and have people yell at me because I run the ball too much. I'm sorry that inside zone 5 yards at a time gets me down the field. All right. So maybe that's happy to win. Yeah, I'm trying to win. This is a game. All right. Coming up on the other side, before we get to the SEC, we've got some reporting from around conference realignment. We had some comments in the tailgate before we go. So, yes, we will get into Brett McMurphy's latest report on the future of conference realignment. All that and more next.
Have you heard of semaglutides? Ozempic, Mounjaro?
Hartman, this could be dangerous. Let's do it.
South Park, The End of Obesity. New exclusive event. Now streaming. Exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. The dateline is Dallas, where the SEC media days are. But the story is not from the SEC, at least not directly. As Brett McMurphy posted a story yesterday, the headline, sources, Big Ten SEC unlikely to add Florida State if the ACC survives. Now, there's a lot to get to within this, including some of the qualifiers, including, the history that we have with this kind of reporting. Danny, I'll come to you first. As you have, worked your way through both the reporting, the reaction, but then also sort of your lay of the land. What's your biggest takeaway from that?
2%. 2%. That's what I'm going with. The long-term viability of Florida State actually going to the Big 12. I'll still give it a slim percent. This is like the perfect story for college football, right? Because fans love, especially non-FSU fans, love to troll Florida State. Like, nobody wants you. See, you guys aren't that good. You guys are Florida. No one wants you. It is perfect for college football. And then guess what else it does? It riles up Florida State fans. They get all upset. Wait a second. Well, maybe the Big 12 likes this. Big 12 could be great for us. Bud brought the receipts yesterday, which I thought were phenomenal, because if you go back and look before the Big Ten expanded, you saw very similar reports and some were conflicting, but a lot of them denied any chance that Oregon, Washington were going to the Big Ten. Like, you saw a lot of this before, and I love Brett, and I no doubt he's got people that are telling him this stuff, but you have to remember a lot of this is a negotiation that is unfolding behind the scenes, and a lot of these reports are planted from people specifically for various reasons, whatever side that they fall on.
I don't know if college football fans love to troll Florida State as much as you're a former Florida State quarterback. So when they troll you, they're trolling Florida State.
Yes. Well, they love to troll any fan base, like they love to troll Clemson too.
Yeah.
They just like, especially the haves versus the have-nots. Like, if you are in the SEC or Big Ten, you're loving it, saying, oh, we're that much better than Florida State or Clemson that we're not even going to consider inviting you guys. That's where the trolling comes from, and that's where the pride comes from, and being able to trash talk and look down on you as not worthy of the Big Ten or SEC.
First of all, like, I respect Brett a ton, right? I think the guy actually is really plugged in, and I think that there are folks who are legitimately telling this. So, like, I believe that this is what he was told. Like, I'm on a panel with Brett at Bet Bash coming up. So, like,
look, too bad.
Let's play with. Can we play with that one part real quick? Because, Bud, I believe there is a Big Ten administrator who does not want to expand, and I believe that there's a Big Ten administrator that will say anonymously, we have no interest in expanding, because if that Big Ten administrator was called to the table tomorrow, they would probably vote no on expansion.
And I bet you could find a lot of people
before we get to all the things that could happen down the road. But I think that if tomorrow a vote was taken, I believe there are Big Ten administrators with voting power that would say they're in the middle of a legal fight. We're not going to try to like mess with this right now. We're staying away. So I do think that there is that sentiment within the Big Ten that's like, yeah, maybe, but not right now, given everything that's going on.
If I was trying to avoid being sued for interference and I was trying to drive down the price of something that I was interested in purchasing, these are the quotes I would give. Now, there definitely could be some truth behind these quotes. I 100%, unless you think that Florida State and Clemson are acting like with complete irrationality, you have to think that they have some indication from one of these two leagues, kind of a wink-wink thing, that there would be interest, like real interest, if you got your rights free and clear. I tend to believe that is still true. Now, obviously, Brett's report disagrees with that. I think you're correct, Chip. I think there are probably people in the Big Ten who do not want to expand. There's also, as I said on Twitter yesterday, a ton of legal stuff happening. Like, the House case didn't even get submitted for settlement yesterday as it was supposed to, right? And the Johnson case could be huge. Like, they were just talking how Dartmouth dishwashers make $21 an hour. So if we do end up getting like all the Olympic sports and stuff, think about the lawsuit for back wages. Like, there's a lot of real uncertainty going on. Also, like, if you've been following the political election odds, not to get politics on the show, like, very good chance that like the NCAA comes out looking great in about 5 or 6 months here. So a lot of uncertainty with the sport right now, and things can change and shift under your feet. I still think Florida State and Clemson are operating from a position where if they get their rights free and clear, I think they should have pretty much max confidence that somebody will want them. And the question is, at what terms, at what share?
Well, we know Brett Yormark wants them.
The Big 12 is a potential backstop.
I also love how, because you could find a bunch of people that would call Florida State disruptive and they don't want to work with them because, for whatever reason. But
do you deny the allegations?
Well, what would be better? Would it be better for, like, what is more disruptive? Like, startling this and rattling the cages, or just in the middle of the night having an agreement and bouncing from a conference?
I feel like, I don't want to get into it. I feel like if you had that kind of confidence in a move, you wouldn't have to rattle cages. You would just do it. USC and UCLA weren't out rattling cages. They just woke up one morning and they were in the Big Ten.
Right, because they don't have the TV contract.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's some. I think the rattling of cages was a clear move to try to create instability within the league before they did the Cal, SMU, Stanford thing.
I fully expect Florida State will be in the Big Ten at one point, because I just think that the way that this has all worked for the last 20 years is just all leading to this anyway. But I will also say, without any kind of actual information as to what's going to happen, just my entire whatever in this Big Ten expansion era, from everybody I've talked to that actually knows, interest in ACC schools, Florida State was never a program that Big Ten people I know have ever brought up. It was always North Carolina. It was always Virginia. It was always Georgia Tech. And it was always, to a certain extent, Duke, if that's what it took to get North Carolina. But the goal from Big Ten administrations that I've known of was always Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. Those were the four that they wanted. Things obviously have changed. I know the SEC now probably has some interest in North Carolina and Virginia. We've seen that in reporting. And I do think if Florida State shakes loose, like, I don't see them going to the SEC because I don't see what Florida State has that the SEC needs or doesn't already have. Like, I don't know if adding that program means more money for the league because they have a school in Florida. They've got plenty of teams that compete for national titles. They really don't need it. If anything, the SEC needs a school that won't be competing for national titles. They need somebody to get their ass kicked once in a while to help the other programs. The Big Ten could use the state of Florida, but the Big Ten is also kind of big on contiguous states having borders and all that kind of stuff. And Florida doesn't really border anybody, but they also just did add California, Oregon, and Washington. So that's kind of out the window. But financially, I think Florida State and Clemson are attractive. It's just, are they attractive enough for the Big Ten and their television deals to make it worthwhile for the now 18 other schools that are currently in the league? Like, do they bring enough to, when you go to 20, does that pie get big enough to feed everybody else still? So I don't know, man. Like, I know you guys are confident of it, and I know that there's been plenty of cage rattling about it. And I do, like I said at the very top, I do think Florida State's going to end up in the Big Ten eventually. And I'm going to be writing about this later today, but I do think there is a very lot of truth to what Brett McMurphy reported yesterday, as far as people in power in the Big Ten might not, like, can I say this on the show? No. I do think that certain people that seem to have the power of making the decisions but don't have the actual decision-making power are far more interested in adding Florida State to the Big Ten than the people who actually make the decision.
Which I think this is why that FSU is trying to fast track the AAU thing, because it's, as McMurphy tweeted in 2023, like, it's not a requirement like a lot of folks said that it was, because they let Nebraska in, but it does help to kind of soothe some concerns potentially of some of the folks who do matter in the decision making. I mean, we also don't know, like, how much is academics going to matter to this? Like if we just, like, there's so much change that could come, not will, but could come to this sport. I mean, they could easily spin off football and run it as like a separate corporation in 5 years. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at that. I wouldn't be shocked if the SEC and Big Ten merged, right? Like, the NFL doesn't sell separate AFC and NFC rights. They sell one rights package. And then obviously, like, CBS gets, AFC, but, like, yeah, I just think anybody who's speaking on this with, like, max confidence, I don't see it. Like, there's so many variables that even if you gave me all the answers to, like, how every court case is going to go, I still don't think I would nail everything.
Relitigating the Oregon and Washington parts of this, where reporting from multiple outlets at one point said the Big Ten is not interested in any further expansion. This is after USC and UCLA are announced. Oregon and Washington at the top of that list. We're not interested in Oregon and Washington. And I think that this might end up tying something similar, where it's like, we're not interested in Oregon and Washington at this time on those terms. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, USC and UCLA joined as full members, right? And Oregon and Washington took a cut. So, to your point, Bud, there's what are the terms? What's the timing? Those seem to be all things that are going to be very impactful in trying to relitigate, like, whatever this looks like down the road. Or let's do a quick straw poll. The year is 2027. Is Florida State in the ACC?
No.
I say
no, they're an independent in the Saudi Arabia conference.
I could see independent. I could see independent with, like, Miami, Florida, Notre Dame, and a Big 12 scheduling arrangement.
Yeah.
Chip, can we clarify, like, ACC is currently comprised?
ACC with at least half of the membership as it was last season.
See, that's a little tougher to me.
Is that in the like dissolve and form a new league
Right. Yeah.
road?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems wild. hey, we're just gonna dissolve this thing, but then run off and form our own, and ESPN's gonna be happy with it. That's some high stakes poker right there. That's the other thing that I come back to. There's a lot of disrupting like everything. I don't know how many people are interested in that. College athletics tends to move more slowly. Now we are in an era with the Johnson and the House case and everything else that things are moving quicker than they ever have before. But all the university presidents and all of the like different bureaucracy that you've got to go through, and it would be a big move to do some of that sort of drastic break glass in case of emergency type stuff. I say no, by the way. 2027, I say no. I think 2025, yes. And I think 2027, no. And that would be just my bet. Danny?
So you're putting 2.5 years to over under? I'd say probably with you guys. I'd probably say 27. We're going to see some changes. But I'm kind of like, sounds like Bud's more open to just a lot of different possibilities that could be there. Like, I don't think it just has to be, do you land in the Big 12, Big 10, or SEC? I think there could be other on the table as well.
Short-term possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then there's the, like, wait for the 2030 to 2032. What if that's the time when everything gets upended? Right. And then it becomes like a true mini NFL. And if you were pulling football programs together for a mini NFL, Florida State is without a doubt a part of it.
The number one goal is getting out of the terrible ACC deal.
Just not being there.
I don't think they care relative to the importance of getting out of the deal. I don't think the destination in the short term matters quite as much to them. Like if you continue to play like Miami, Florida, put an in-state game against UCF, I don't think any FSU fans give a damn. It's like, oh, we're playing Kansas State instead of NC State for the next 3 or 4 years. I don't think they care.
Interesting.
I will say the quotes that Brett had in his original story weren't from an SEC person. They were from Big Ten people. But I did find it hilarious that in the headline, it was like the SEC and Big Ten aren't interested in Florida State because they're a disruptive force, when the SEC had literally just added Texas.
Yeah, because they are so famously not disruptive to league members and power.
But again, when you read the story, it's nobody from the SEC who was referring to them as a disruptive force. It was a Big Ten person, but it was just it made me laugh pretty loud when I read it.
Certainly, there are ways you could have been less disruptive publicly, but I think anytime you have a team or two who are responsible for such a large majority of the revenue that the conference brings in, it's going to be disruptive unless you're just so independently wealthy that you just don't care what you're making from the TV contract. Like Texas was going to make noise if they were sharing the same check that Iowa State gets, because nobody watches Iowa State and everybody watches Texas. Like it's sort of the nature of the construct of the conference when you have, 2 real kind of earners and a couple decents, but like a lot of just teams that are not worth anything on the open market. It creates a weird construct.
We must protect the fortress. Yeah. All right. Now, that was a dateline of Dallas. Let's actually go to the action in Dallas. Coming up on the other side, we already got to hear from Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, and more. I was watching some of Kalen DeBoer's time at the microphone this morning. Some of our SEC Media Days reactions and more next.
Have you heard of semaglutides? Ozempic, Mounjaro?
Hartman, this could be dangerous. Let's do it.
South Park: The End of Obesity. New exclusive event. Now streaming. Exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. Bud, you have a relationship or multiple relationships and good connections with some collectives from across the country.
Yep.
Were you surprised that the NIL fines from the collective that we got wind of at Georgia and subsequently started to hear as more of a common practice across the country, was that something that you were aware of? And does it fall in line with sort of your view of the way that a lot of collectives are doing business?
Specifically as to fines, it's not something I've ever actually asked people about. Like there are definitely like clawback provisions if you miss like scheduled meetings with donors or whatever marketing that you happen to be doing on that day. But I did not know that Georgia was fining its guys for driving poorly, which makes me think that Georgia's collective has got to be rolling in it because like these guys are constantly driving bad. So it is interesting, though, when we just had the Johnson case and they're talking about the level of control and where the benefits flow. And does that seem like maybe like a sort of very related to the university entity, like asserting control by fining people? Because you know who else fines people? The NFL.
Yeah, were these fines collectively bargained?
See.
Why is this even legal?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. Here's
probably legal. Well,
if it's in the contract,
if I'm paying you to represent me, okay, and you go out, and, like for instance, this is not in my CBS contract, but it could be. CBS could be like, hey, if you go on Fox today, we're going to fine you 10 grand. Okay, like that's I have a relationship with CBS. I work with them. You're not allowed to go work for a competitor, or you're not allowed to disparage us. There are certainly ways that they could do this, and I'm sure the athletes just agree to it because nobody is like, hey, don't fine me for bad driving because I'm planning on doing some really bad driving. Like that's just not something you say at the bargaining table generally. But you can do it.
Also, like, what if a player? So the way you would probably get fined, I'm guessing, Bud, is it would come out of your next paycheck.
Yeah.
Is that the way they're doing it too? Like, what if they have the money? Because that's the way it happens in the NFL paycheck, and the way that's collectively bargained. Like the money goes to a charity that's like agreed upon. Like, where does this money just go back to the collective so then they can give it to another player? Like, it's all very murky about how this is unfolding. I do agree that the best way to there's two ways to get players to respond. It's playing time and taking their paycheck. Like that's the two ways, which, historically it's always been playing time. And then because you can take the money. I do think it's probably the most effective way to get players to curb their behavior, although maybe the fines aren't significant enough if they're still doing it. But I just wonder about the legality of it. That was the first thing I thought of. Like, really, they can do this? I think they should, and I think they'll probably continue to. But I wonder until a player tries to fight back and takes it to another court case and is like, no, you can't do this.
See, that's the part of it for me too. Like, first of all, can they? Because again, it's like it's not collectively bargained, so it is weird. It is murky, and I feel like the entire NIL operation is murky because, as you said, they're fining them, but we don't know how much they're fining them, and they don't have to tell us how much they're fining them. And the fact that it keeps happening, if they're being fined, tells me I don't know how punitive the fines are, and I know that if you fine them, not only do you not have to publicly disclose how much a player's been fined, because it would not be good for you anyway to tell potential recruits, if you do this, we're going to take 25 grand off your check. But also, it doesn't impact Saturday.
Right.
So I don't know. It's all just.
You're in trouble, son. You're going to have to go to bed early. Also, your mother and I have something we want to do after bedtime. But so, yeah, you're going to have to, collective gets to keep the money and then reallocate it.
Yeah.
It's not going to a charity. Yeah. Then, let's build out fines for missing class. Let's build out fines for all these things. It's a strange part of the world that I had not seriously considered for long until it became a storyline at SEC Media Days.
Oh, you meant play the video game. I thought you meant something else after that time. Okay.
You know what, though? Like, as much as we're bothered by it, Tom, you mentioned Saturdays. Do even Georgia fans care?
No.
That's where nothing will happen until people have died. Like, that's where it's kind of crazy that we're at this point. But we know about the irrational passion of college football fans where they're kind of like just blocking it. And this is any fan base. This is not just Georgia. So I'm not picking on Georgia. But I mean, if it's not like, and I think other programs are probably, and other fan bases are like, I can't believe you guys are doing that. But if you're one of the best programs in college football, like, do you care that much?
I don't know. But I mean, it's not even just the fan base. I think it's just the irrationality of an 18, 19, 20-year-old male in that even when you see a friend or a teammate of yours die from doing something similar, you are still of the mindset that you are immortal and nothing bad is going to happen to you. So I'm just going to go do it anyway because nothing's going to happen to me. My concern is if they are fining them and it keeps happening, that tells me the fines aren't effective. So maybe you should consider another path.
I mean, let's be real. If Mark Richt would have not held the standard of character and discipline that he did, he probably would have been able to win championships at Georgia.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
if you recall, I mean, remember like when Florida's drug testing policy was like first time a finger wag, second time verbal warning, like third time run a lap, fourth time, whereas Georgia's was like actually kicking guys. They had to kick guys off because their weed policy. This was a thing like early college ball blogosphere days. Like
yeah, I was going to say there was a
Mm-hmm.
season on the calendar when you knew the suspensions from Georgia would come out, like 2 games.
Spurrier
4
had a
games.
quote about it. He's like, I love playing Georgia in the opening game because you know they're always going to have a couple guys suspended. It is a thing for sure. And now Georgia has taken some steps to kind of not do that anymore. And also, like, you can't do open records request. Well, you can. It just takes forever and a day to get them fulfilled because they literally changed the state law to make it harder to do records requests. So I do think some Georgia fans care. Like probably Georgia alumni probably do care. Georgia sidewalk fans, I don't think give a damn. They just want to see the team win.
Yeah, that's true. One more Kirby NIL comment. What you think our buddy Dan Lanning's going to say that his old boss was out there, at SEC Media Days, just saying, I wish I had that Oregon NIL money that Dan's getting. Now we have, like we've discussed on here, Oregon's recruiting efforts, and Oregon has an NIL war chest that, I can't count it. I don't have that information, but I've got to imagine, given its benefactor, it is as deep as you're going to find in the entire country. Friendly shot, or do you think Dan's a little upset that Kirby's out here, checking out his wallet and telling his business?
I think Dan's like, hey man, there's a reason I stayed at Oregon. All right.
I don't think Dan Lanning is going to mind having it out there publicly that they've got money to spend on players.
Yeah.
That's not exactly a negative. Like but I feel like Kirby might just be upset because of all those fines he's paying. He needs more NIL money.
If I'm Dan Lanning, I'm sitting in that Death Star chair they got there at Oregon. Like, hey, clip that. Kirby is jealous of our NIL. Boom. There's a reason
it
you guys
does
need to come
drive
out
up
here.
the price, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does.
Like you care if you have unlimited,
right? And that's probably where that's probably
Yeah.
where Dan Lanning doesn't. But I mean, the worst kept secret in all of college football is how badly Phil Knight wants a championship before he dies.
I comped it to Mike Ilitch of the Detroit Tigers, the guy that founded Little Caesars. He badly wanted the Tigers to win. Like, was Miguel Cabrera way past his prime? Well, no, not when they signed him, but they knew he would be soon. They didn't care. Like, cool, here's $300 million. We're going to get 3 good years out of you and 11 bad. And guess what? We don't care. Verlander, all those guys, like they're signing older dudes who still have like a lot of good, some left, and then the back end, whatever, because I ain't gonna be here, right? If I'm Mike Ilitch. I think Phil Knight is kind of the Mike Ilitch of college football right now.
Did the Tigers World Series win come during that time?
Tigers haven't won a World Series
They did not
since
win. They gave
1984.
really
Chip.
close.
I forgot.
Wow. Look at Chip.
They got there, though, right?
Were you even alive the last time the Tigers won a World Series, Chip?
When was it?
1984.
No.
Yeah.
They got there, and who did they lose to?
They lost to St. Louis.
Yep, that's right.
God. Freaking Cardinals. Come on.
And the Giants. Yeah, they got there in 06 and 12, and they lost to the Giants.
And they lost to the San Francisco Giants. Yep.
Yeah.
Tom's
Greatest
Giants
team in the world.
Yeah.
By the way, listeners, I'm no longer a White Sox fan, so stop asking me about the White Sox.
They swept the Yankees 4-0 to get to those 2 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the Bumgarner year?
When he pitched like a zillion innings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who that was against.
That was every Giants World Series year.
No, that was against the Royals, wasn't it?
They lost to the Royals. I don't know. Who did the Royals beat in the World Series? They played the was that the Cardinals too? No, it wasn't the Cardinals. It was who did the Royals win in the World Series? Come on, chat. Come up with
Chat will
something.
tell us.
Tailgate
Is it the
says,
Rangers? No, because they're in the AL.
Yeah.
That's a dumb question. Sorry.
Tailgate saying if we're going baseball podcast, someone's going to have
Mets.
the national
Mets.
anthem.
Yes, Mets.
Mhm.
We'll say tonight.
Hey,
Tonight,
she's
man.
in rehab.
Hey,
Stop.
uh-huh.
You can't make fun of her now.
No, you can't. No.
What?
No. That is PR 101 right there. You screw up on public, national, the whole world knows. Be like, I'm checking into rehab.
Then she even made a joke about it at the end of her little message. She's like, I heard it's a banger though, or something like that.
It's,
You get busted cheating on your wife. I'm checking into sex rehab.
young people take nothing seriously.
No.
Yeah, come on. I
Oh, never mind.
I am seeing and sensing the hype train is starting to grow, because Josh Heupel is very confident in what Nico Iamaleava can be this year, and that was one of the kind of buzzy storylines. You know, he's talking about the way that he's progressed, and he's not the only second year quarterback that we've got where we're looking at him to be able to take that jump. Danny, are you in? Like, are you in on the Nico experience?
I think he's gonna be better than Joe Milton.
Yes.
But like, I don't know if he's going to be Hendon Hooker for sure in year one. This is really interesting. I was thinking about this because there are a lot of quarterbacks where we're just assuming they're going to be good. They're not.
Uh-oh. Elon got him. I will pick up where Danny left off.
Yes.
We do assume that a lot of these young guys will be good. Nico will be good. I ain't assuming a damn thing. He's going to be good.
Can I also say we need them as a sport to be good?
Tennessee.
Like Dylan Gabriel, Shador, Carson Beck. No, like
the
first-year
young
starters.
guys.
Like
Quarterbacks, yeah.
We need some of these first-year starting quarterbacks to be good, to have the awesome college football year that we want to have. Okay? Like, we need to have Ohio State punished for having Howard be their quarterback at times, right? Like, we need to have somebody with some real juice at quarterback who can jump up and can bite a Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or take down something like that. So, Danny's back.
I'm back. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
No, so I think he'll be good. It's just a matter of if he'll be good enough to get them where they want to go. But I think it's fascinating because there are a lot of quarterbacks this year that fan bases and coaching staffs, more importantly, are going all in with. Nico's one of them. Jackson Arnold's one of them. Avery Johnson's one of them. I mean, did you guys hear Chris Kleiman at Big 12 Media Days where he was like, we sent Will Howard packing.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't going to, he was the backup here. So like, congrats Ohio State. You got Kansas State's backup, which, LSU fans loved having Ohio State's backup when it was Joe Burrow. So that still could work out in your favor. But of all these quarterbacks, like they're not all going to pan out. They're not all going to be 100% hit rate. Like one or more are going to fall short. But I do think Nico, in the system that he plays in, I think is a part of why I trust that he's going to be okay. And I do think he'll be better than Joe Milton.
I mean, I think there were, 3 situations like that where the senior needed to get up out there. I think Dylan Gabriel needed to go to Oregon. I think DJ needed to get out because I think Aiden Childs was going to beat him out of Oregon State. And I think Howard, obviously, as Kleiman said, like those 3 young guys coming. Like we thought they were studs coming out of high school. They showed a lot when they got in there. They showed well in practice. I mean, if you're not going to play them, they're going to play for somebody else.
Yeah, I have, like I said, I think Nico is going to be very good. I feel like if you're going to be confident, though, if you're Tennessee, Nico being good isn't nearly enough. Like if you're going to be competitive in that league and get to the playoff and win a national title, it's the rest of the roster that you really need to stand out. And I think that's where Tennessee's confidence is also truly coming from. I do feel like they look at themselves on the lines of scrimmage and think that they are better suited. Like they've been good there the last few years. Like they've had 1st-round picks. They've got James Pierce, who might be the first pick in the draft next year, but they've had like guys. I don't feel like they've had complete units. And I think that going into this season, they feel like they have units and depth on both of those lines of scrimmage. And I think that's where the confidence is truly coming from.
It's a big prove-it year for D coordinator Tim Banks at Tennessee. Like they needed them to play a little bit better than they've played. And that's not an easy job to be the DC opposite of an offense that plays like that, to be sure. Like that's a hard gig. So a lot of, credit should be given, and they just have to stay healthy on the offensive line. I think I really like their 5 starters. And I just watched the summer school again that we did with Patrick Brown of Goval's 247, and got to have the 5 stay healthy. I think they're pretty good with 5. 6, 7, 8, don't know.
Nico may not even be the best Nico in college football. If you listen to Jay Norvell, who said Braden Fowler Nicolosi. Do you remember he said Kansas
I was in
State
Mexico when he said that, and I was like, maybe he means like pesos, because 600,000 pesos is like $30K. Like I pay $30K for Fowler Nicolosi to be my backup. Like something dependable veteran guy. I read that and I was like, because I'm just so used to doing the conversion in my head, it's like divide by 20 roughly. And then I was like, 600,000 US. That's crazy talk. Like, no, for the receiver, maybe not that quarterback.
Right. But great job holding on to him, Coach. You fended him off. You got yourself a good one there. Tom, any other sort of SEC related musings or topics that have stood out to you from these first couple days?
No, I mean, it's been pretty typical media day pablum. Like I do think that I enjoyed Brent Venables. I enjoyed his talk. I saw him doing an interview on ESPN last night. I just thought, and he also talked to Dodd about the Red River, rivalry and the shootout and
the hate.
Yeah. I was like, all right. I think
you can just feel it. The hate.
He's been kind of a quieter, kind of talking behind the scenes guy. But I feel like now that Oklahoma's in the SEC and the spotlight's a little brighter, he's being a little more public, and I think it's good.
I liked when he made fun of the corporate atmosphere of national championship games.
Yes.
He's like, I've coached in 8 national championship games. It's a little corporate. It's a little happy to be here. And that ain't what it's like in that at Red River. I was like, hell yeah. Let's
also go. Yeah, Grant just mentioned in the chat, they're not going to penalize you for horns down, which thank God.
Seriously.
Texas, life's already changed, hasn't it, Texas? They're not giving you special treatment anymore. They're not trying to protect your little failings.
Well, you can't do it in their face. But if you do it with your teammates,
give it time.
If you do it with your teammates, then it's okay.
I also think one of the weakest things, is your celebration is their logo upside down. You know what I mean? Like I think it looks weak for Oklahoma to do horns down. Like they have T-shirts in their bookstore that say horns down. Like that is Texas is in your head. Right?
Rivalry to me. Nope. I disagree with that take.
Have you ever done that? Like,
yeah, I very much disagree with that.
I haven't. I will not.
I think disrespecting your rival is the most important thing in college football.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially
sure hope Northwestern's little fake stadium didn't blow away in all the tornadoes yesterday.
Yeah, like I do think, especially when you know how mad they get. It's very juvenile. Like you just keep saying something that'll get under their skin. So
So they made the right decision though with no penalty. That would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else from SEC? All right. So did you see that? So Lane Kiffin basically embraces it's the most expectations that Ole Miss has had in decades. We've got Brian Kelly and the trend that has happened at many different stops where this is the time when LSU takes a big step forward. You mentioned Brent Venables. I did love his talk with Dodd. I got to see that before going on CBS Sports HQ last night. Eli Drinkwitz has, what is it? Size, toughness, and instincts. He says a player's got STI.
Better than a UTI, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Drink. We love it. Yeah, great soundbite right there. And anything else that you got your eye on?
I've just been playing the game instead of catching up on my SEC. Like, unless anybody got injured, I just don't give a damn about like.
All right. Well, you're missing. You're missing Saban. Be awesome.
He's the star. That's the breakout star.
But I've got Mike Rodak for that. On my SEC tweet deck list, Mike Rodak featured prominently of our Bama 247 site. Like the best work anybody who's done from SEC Mini Day is to watch SEC Network and transcribe that. Because Saban's just, I have seen that. That is cool.
He has done such an amazing job. And he also dispelled something that I had thought, he says He says he has not been in the building since the day he retired. I thought he was still going to like have an office or whatever, but
But he's met with them multiple times, he said.
yeah, they come to
I'm like,
his
he's
house.
like, you guys come to me.
Yeah.
All right.
So
He's sitting there in like a big leather chair by the fireplace, just like having him bring him in, like the Godfather.
He's like the Oracle at Northport.
Miss Terry, come on in. Thank you, Miss
Yeah.
Terry.
You come
All right.
to me on the day of Miss Terry's potluck dinner.
Chip, don't you gotta go get your kids?
Yeah, I've got to run in.
Hey, man, shoot. If you mess pickup,
Yeah,
no video game for you, son.
I know. All
My
right,
daddy.
we will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time, with questions from you and the tailgate. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.